It was one of those nights when the rain didn't just fall, it attacked the city. Sheets of water hammered down on downtown Portland, bouncing off sidewalks, flooding gutters, turning every streetlight into a blurred halo. Daniel Hayes pulled his jacket tighter around him as he sprinted toward the tallest building in the financial district. His watch told him he had 18 minutes to make it upstairs, straighten his tie and nail the interview that could finally pull him and his little boy out of survival mode. His only suit second-hand and already fraying at the cuffs was soaked through, but he told himself it didn't matter. This was his shot. Then he saw her. A cherry red convertible sat crooked at the curb, hazard lights clicking in the rain. A woman in a striking green dress swung her door open and immediately went down hard. Her heel had caught in a storm drain, her ankle twisting with an audible snap. The rain swallowed her cry, and dozens of people hurried past without even looking. Daniel froze. 17 minutes. This interview was everything, his one chance back into the world he'd lost. But the woman couldn't even stand. She slipped again, water rushing around her, like the city was determined to drown her right there. He closed his eyes for a moment, cursed under his breath, then turned back. That's the thing about Daniel. He hadn't always been the guy juggling 3 part-time jobs just to keep the lights on. 5 years earlier, he'd been one of the brightest engineers at Aero North, a rising star designing propulsion systems that could change aviation. He'd had an office with a view of the river, colleagues who respected him, a wife who lit up every room she walked into. Her name was Rachel. He'd met her at an energy conference in Denver where she'd been presenting on biofuels. The projector had died in the middle of her talk, her cheeks flushing crimson as she tried to explain complex molecules with just her hands. Daniel, sitting in the third row, walked up, tapped a wire, and had the projector humming in 30 seconds flat. When the slides flickered back to life, she looked at him with such gratitude he forgot how to walk properly, back to his seat, stumbling over a chair and almost spilling someone's coffee. Afterward, she found him at the coffee station. "My hero," she teased, and he dumped half a packet of sugar on his shoe, trying to act smooth. They were married 14 months later in her parents' backyard under string lights and the smell of lilacs. Those years, they were golden. Rachel painted every room of their old fixer-upper in bold colors that shouldn't have worked, but did. She sang nonsense songs to him while he tried to fix the plumbing with YouTube tutorials. When she got pregnant, she wrote down every kick, every craving, every midnight moment in a journal Daniel still kept locked in a drawer. Their son Lucas came into the world during a thunderstorm, and Daniel stood in the hallway holding his baby while doctors fought to save Rachel after sudden complications. By some miracle, she pulled through. For 2 years, their little family thrived. Then, on another rainy morning, she kissed him goodbye over burnt toast, laughed about her broken umbrella, and ran into the storm. By afternoon, she was gone. A brain aneurysm. Instant painless, they told him, as if that softened anything. Daniel tried to go back to work, but sitting in conference rooms talking profit margins felt obscene when Rachel's coffee mug was still sitting in the sink. And then the darker truth, months before her death, he discovered a structural flaw in Aero North's new fleet, a flaw that could cause catastrophic failure in certain flight conditions. He reported it. His boss buried it. Deadlines mattered more than safety. When Daniel pushed, they turned on him. Accusations of paranoia, whispers of instability after Rachel's death manufactured expense discrepancies. They gave him a choice: resign quietly or be destroyed publicly. With a baby to think about, he took the deal. So here he was, driving Uber by day, stocking shelves at night, translating manuals at the kitchen table while Lucas slept, still wearing his wedding ring on a chain under his shirt. and in the middle of that storm he was kneeling in the gutter helping a stranger to her feet. Her name, though he didn't know it then, was Victoria Lane, CEO of Lane Systems, one of the biggest defense contractors in the state. But that night, she wasn't a CEO. She was just a woman crumpled on wet pavement mascara streaking down her face, wondering why no one stopped. "You're not fine," Daniel said simply when she told him to go. "And I'm already late. Doesn't matter now." He half carried her to a coffee shop, settled her into a chair, knelt in front of her, and checked her ankle with the kind of gentle expertise only a single father with an accident-prone kid develops. She asked about his son. He shrugged, embarrassed, but admitted he had one. Then she saw the moment he looked at his watch, shoulders sagging, everything draining from his face. He knew what he'd lost. And still, he stayed. When he finally walked back into the rain, his ruined suit clinging to him, she couldn't stop watching. For the first time in years, she felt seen. 3 nights later, there was a knock on Daniel's apartment door. He opened it to find her standing there, ankles still bandaged, holding a folder. Inside was a contract consulting work for her company, remote, flexible hours pay that made his breath catch. He asked why. "Because you turned back," she said. "When it cost you everything, you turned back." "That tells me more about your character than any resume ever could." That was the beginning. The work came first, Daniel uncovering flaws in drone guidance systems, saving her company from disasters before they happened. Victoria called to discuss contracts, but they always ended up talking about other things. His terrible Beatles impressions in the shower, her secret panic attacks in marble bathrooms. Lucas's fascination with dinosaurs, the way she'd never learned to ride a bike, because her father thought it was a waste of time. Then came the Saturday she showed up at his apartment with a box of pastries. Lucas opened the door in dinosaur pajamas and yelled, "Dad!" The foot lady brought food. Daniel looked mortified. Victoria laughed harder than she had in years. They ate scrambled eggs together at the cramped table while Lucas talked about his best friend who could burp the alphabet. Victoria listened like it was the most important intelligence briefing of her life, and slowly, without either of them saying it out loud, she became part of their little rhythm. She showed up with toys, soup excuses about contracts. Lucas adored her. Daniel found himself watching her laugh at his son's stories and thinking he hadn't seen someone look that alive in years. But just when happiness peeked over the horizon, the storm returned. Richard Donovan, the company's loudest shareholder, and Victoria's most dangerous rival, saw his chance. At a board meeting, he slammed a folder on the table. Inside were the fabricated charges from Aero North psychological reports, twisted out of context, and photos of Victoria leaving Daniel's apartment. "You've hired a disgraced engineer with mental problems," Donovan sneered. "You're sleeping with him. This is a security risk. Fire him or resign." The room went dead silent. Victoria drove straight to Daniel's apartment, laid it all out. He listened, then said quietly, "I'll resign first thing in the morning. Tell them I lied about my record. Distance yourself." "No," she snapped. "Yes," he insisted. "This is about me. I won't let them take you down too." They argued until midnight. By dawn, he'd sent his resignation, but Victoria wasn't finished. The next day, she walked into that boardroom with her head high. When Donovan smirked, thinking he'd won, she connected her laptop to the screen. Email after email appeared proof of $17 million in bribed secret ties between Donovan and Thomas Marshall, Daniel's old boss at Aero North. Evidence of espionage, stock manipulation, corruption so deep, the FBI would salivate. "You want me gone," she said coldly. "Fine. But when the agents come, you'll be gone too, along with your shares, your reputation, and your freedom." Donovan crumbled in minutes, resigned, fled. Then Victoria turned to the stunned board. Daniel Hayes is the most ethical man I have ever met. If this company can't make room for people like him, then what exactly are we protecting? And yes, I love him. Does anyone have a problem with that silence? Then one by one, the board voted to back her. That night she showed up at Daniel's door, tears mixing with the rain. It's done. You're vindicated. Lucas peeked from behind his dad. Why is Victoria crying? Because your father's an idiot, she said, half laughing, half sobbing. A beautiful, noble idiot who thought I'd let him throw himself on the sword again. If she loves you, Dad, you should probably say it back, Lucas added seriously. Daniel's voice cracked. I love you too, since the day you saved my eggs from burning. 6 months later, Victoria sold her glass penthouse and bought a modest house in a neighborhood with kids on bikes and a yard perfect for the treehouse Lucas had always wanted. One Saturday morning, Lucas marched up to her with a ring pop and said, "Will you marry me and Dad? He's too chicken to ask properly, and I want you to be my mom." Behind him, Daniel held out a real ring. She said yes to both. They were married the following spring in their backyard under a small awning. Daniel built himself as rain fell, soft and steady, like a blessing. Lucas served as ring bearer and best man, declaring in his speech, "If Dad had gone to that interview, we wouldn't have Victoria. So I'm glad he missed it. Sometimes the best things happen when stuff goes wrong." The guests laughed, some cried. Victoria and Daniel just looked at each other, rain sliding down their faces, and knew he was right. Because the truth is, sometimes life breaks you, sometimes it buries you in loss and betrayal. But sometimes when you least expect it, it hands you a storm. And in that storm, you find the person who chooses you over everything else. So tell me, what would you have done if you were Daniel? Kept running to the interview or turned back into the rain? And do you believe a single act of kindness can really change everything? I want to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comments, because this is one of those stories that deserves a real conversation.